Hey guys, Tim Melvin here. Welcome to Hidden Profit Reports for August the 3rd, 2023. Thanks for being with me this morning. And guys, I got a treat for you today. This is a good one. This is one of those ones that you're going to look back 4 or 5 years from now. You're going to want my address to send me a thank you card, maybe take me to dinner. This is that good, a long-term pick. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not going to make you super rich by next Tuesday or any of that garbage that you hear thrown around all of the time. That's not how this all works in the real world. Anyway, backing up, guys. Look, no secret. I'm a huge fan of carbon-based fossil fuel energy. In other words, I love oil and gas. Now, I know all of the reasons to hate oil and gas. After all, we're going to be renewable. We're going to be rich by Tuesday and all renewable by Thursday. And one is as big a load up as the other. We're not going to be all renewable by 2030 or 2035. That's garbage. Okay. And it's not that I'm anti-renewable. I love renewable energy. Have recommended Brookfield Renewable and other renewable energy projects for some time now. We're getting ready to add one to some of the portfolios because we're super excited about it. However, having said that, the targets that the politicians have set are imaginary. They sound good in the speech, they really do. Oh, we're going to be, 100% electric vehicles and renewable energy. Guys, we can't get there. It's not that we don't want to get there. We do. In fact, we're making colossally stupid energy policy decisions because it A, collects votes, and B, they want to get there. They can't get there and they don't want to address it. So they do what politicians always do when some unpleasant topic they do not wish to address comes up. That's right. They ignore it. Here's the truth. Renewable energy is the future. It will be the fastest growing source of of power in the United States for some time, forever probably. However, if you go all the way out to 2050, we're still using more oil and more gas, not more oil and gas, more oil and more natural gas than we are renewable fuel sources. It's growing from a very, very low base. So high rate off a low base, it's like compounding, man. That takes a little bit of time to come to critical mass. The big block here is natural resources, particularly rare earth metals. What's the big block on rare earth metals? China. See, we picked fight with the wrong guys here. And, I'm a fan of an aggressive China policy. It's any student of history that has actually read speeches and statements from the Chinese government and reads their daily newspapers, which I do. It's especially I read the South China Morning Post, a fantastic synopsis without too much Communist Party flavor. It gives you an idea of how China views the rest of the world. As subjects primarily, China really believes that they are the center of the world. That's come down from the Ming Dynasty. And they think long term, but we're not their friend, we're their enemy. China has locked up all, well, not all, but almost all of the rare earth metals on the planet. 86% of rare earth metals processing takes place in China. Now, those numbers are getting a little better, but nowhere near quick enough. Rare earth metals are critical for electric vehicles and renewable energy. And we don't have access to enough to get to where we want to go. Then there's another problem, copper. Yeah, I know, copper. We're going to run out of copper. Yes, we are. The demand from renewable energy and electric vehicles for copper is enormous. So enormous, in fact, that according to some of the industry reports, we're going to have at least a short-term copper shortage. Everybody agrees on that one. As we get towards not critical mass, but accelerate into greater EV and renewable energy usage and production around the world, we're not going to have enough copper. And it's not going to be as far away as I'd like it to be. 5 years down the road, copper becomes it's a minor problem now. It's going to be a massive problem. Once it becomes a massive problem, here's the real outlook. Okay, let's set aside all the garbage and projections. Here, talking to mining people, industry people, and others, here's the truth of it. If politics allow us to expand copper production and we develop technology that makes production more efficient, and nothing goes wrong, no earthquakes, no floods, no hurricanes, no typhoons, no revolutions, um, none of that happens in no labor strikes, that's a big one, happens in copper producing regions. The shortage is going to last 5 to 6 years. Okay. If we have any major disruptions because of any of those things that I just talked about, which always cause major disruptions in the copper mining industry, um, is semi-permanent copper shortage as we struggle to meet global demand. It's remember, copper is used in a lot of things. Now we're going to bring it into EVs, into renewable energy, and we haven't even talked about the grid rebuild yet. The electric grid to meet electric vehicle goals in the United States needs 25% added capacity and across the board kind of updating. We've got electrical assets in place that were built decades ago and are past their useful life. They need to be upgraded. They need to be, some cases, replaced, modernized, and then expanded, or we can't be anywhere close to 100% electrical vehicles, which is a part of our carbon net zero projections by 2050. So put all that together, I'm majorly bullish on fossil fuels. Doesn't matter if you like them, we need them. And here's the other thing that nobody wants to talk about. The carbon emission reduction in the United States and most of the Western world has been dramatic. I mean, it's significant, the amount of carbon emissions that we've reduced since the year 2000. You can check these numbers yourself, but it's, over 60% reduction in emissions. The truth is, we can't reduce too much more without grinding our economy to a halt. And I don't just mean slow down, I mean starving in the streets halt. It's pretty much the only way we can meaningfully reduce our emissions much further. The big emitters in the world are going to be emerging markets, with the real big emitting coming from China and India. China's building a new coal plant, like one a week, I think is what I read. It's crazy. I don't blame them. They've got this massive need for energy, huge electrical demand, a growing middle class. They are doing wind, solar, nuclear, natural gas. They're burning everything they can, and that includes coal. So, and it's not going to stop. You can't go to India and China and say, "Hey, slow down your economic growth, put your economy back, another decade, and commit to just renewable energy." They're going to laugh at you, if not shoot at you. So oil and gas is going to be with us for a very long time, even here in the United States. You can see in Europe, LNG is going to be a huge part of the global power generation scenario for, again, decades. So oil and gas ain't going anywhere. Here's the cool thing about oil and gas that I really like. In order to move oil and gas from point A to point B, you need a whole bunch of infrastructure. You need gathering, you need processing, you need pipelines. One of the largest collection of pipelines is TransCanada. Used to be TransCanada. Now it's TC Energy. TC Energy recently made an announcement that creates a huge value opportunity for us. They're splitting the company into two, and this is a pretty cool split. The new company, the one they're going to spin off, it's going to own about 5,000 miles of oil, primarily pipelines, connecting Canada to the refining regions down near the Gulf of Mexico, primarily in the Texas area. So that is definitely pretty cool. It's all on long-term contracts with investment-grade clients. So I think the large contracts have over 8 years left, and it's not like there's another pipeline from Canada down to the refining region. So I think that the contracts will get renewed because, as I said, not like we're going to stop using the oil. And internationally, we're really not going to stop using the oil. So the Texas refining also very close obvious reasons, to export markets. So uh, that's going to be all spun off. Should be long-term dividend growth story, 3 to 5% dividend growth, really decent dividend yield to start out with. Um, so that's really going to be a long-term dividend. There will be debt pay down involved in this. Buybacks, maybe as debt gets pared down over time, but be debt buyback, debt pay down, and dividend growth story from the oil pipelines. We like that story. The remaining company is the gem here. This is going to be 58,200 miles of natural gas pipelines. And I am ridiculously bullish on natural gas and have been for some time. Natural gas is dirt cheap. It's hated. Everybody, we're producing too much. We're really not, but that's a great headline. The LNG markets around the world are going to soak up a lot of it, because if Europe goes back to Russian gas in the aftermath of Ukraine without a change of government, they deserve whatever they get. LNG from all over the world, but particularly the United States, is going to be supplying European energy market. So we have 58,200 miles of natural gas pipelines, including, here's where I was going with that, the only hookup from Canada's natural gas production areas to LNG processing and export facilities. So really key collection of assets. The company, by the way, there's also 118 billion cubic feet of natural gas storage located in Alberta, where they can keep the stuff till they send it south to either industrial markets in the Northeast or all the way to the LNG markets in the Texas Gulf Coast area. This one's going to be a high yield, high dividend growth opportunity. In addition to this natural gas business, there is power generation assets here. Are power generation assets here. There's wind facilities. There's storage facilities for energy. There is substantial nuclear power operations to provide about 30% of the Ontario region's power. So they're targeting 7% annual dividend growth, the high coming out. The dividend's going to be high to start with. Use the 7%, your dividend is going to double every 10 years. May not sound like much to all the guys that promised you that they're going to make you rich by next Tuesday using some convoluted options trade. The difference here is mine's actually going to happen. So now, looking at the stock today as it sits, guys, we're going to be getting an 8.1% dividend. It's a very high yielding stock. Going to collect that into 2024. It's not like this gets rubber stamped by the regulators right out of the gate. There will be hearings. Remember, this company also, one of the pipelines that we're getting with the spinoff, Keystone Pipeline. We all know how much U.S. energy regulators love the Keystone Pipeline. So there will be arguments, there will be hearings, there will be discussions. The deal will eventually get done, even if the Canadian government has to pressure us a little bit. And they might. But the deal will get done. It's an efficient operation. It's good for investors. So 8.1% dividend yield, huge earnings pop expected this year. Stocks trading, single-digit price-to-earnings ratio on what we expect to see the company earn. The deal will take sometime 2024 for this deal to get done and the spinoff to accomplish. So we're going to sit here. The stock has sold off on the announcement, as it often happens with spinoffs. So we're going to take advantage of the weakness. We're going to lock in an 8.1% dividend yield and look forward to a split-off transaction that creates two pools of attractive assets that both have their own independent yields and dividend growth stories. So 3 to 5 years. Just drop me an email. I'll send you my address. You can send me a thank you card, because this is going to be a tremendous wealth building opportunity using the fact that oil and gas are going to be with us way longer than the politicians want to tell us. And oil and gas infrastructure, pipelines, generation facilities throw off tremendous amounts of cash flow. This company is going to use it to pay dividends, grow dividends, pay down debt, and eventually buy back stock. And all of that combines to drive stock prices dramatically higher over time. So anyway, guys, I'm Tim Melvin. Thanks for watching this morning. Get out, make it a fantastic next couple of days. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again next week. Thanks for spending some time.